Hello, my name's Liz Pender. I am a lecturer in classics at the University of Leeds, and I'm here to talk to the WCC AGM for the first time about class acts, which is a new partnership initiative of WCC, and this is our first report to the AGM. What I could do here is give a reasonably polished, I hope, account of our first year, our first few months, and glide through stats, viewpoints, positions, etc. What I'm going to try to do instead, because I've written all that up in a 6-page document, which has been circulated, is give a bit more of a flavour of who I am, who we are, and something a little less polished probably will emerge. First, the kind of public statement. Class Acts was founded in 2021 as a new initiative for working class women classicists based in the northern region of the UK. You'll notice the specificity there, which is entirely deliberate. It may look as if the walls around that arrangement are a bit forbidding, but the reasoning, the thinking for the moment is that we'd like to start small, and then if we, as a very small group supporting each other, feel that what we're doing is working and can be useful for other people, then we'd like to create some resources, some training resources, and share them with other people so that other groups, other small groups on a similar basis could be formed around the rest of the country, around the rest of the UK. So what are we trying to do? Well, this is our mission statement, I guess. Class discrimination can create serious barriers to career progression and to earnings in UK classics. It's very important to us that our initiative is not too aspirational. We're not, although we'd like to change the world, we've got to do it one step at a time. And we'd like to work with WCC on a number of quite targeted issues, and the first of those does have to be earnings, salary, pay grades. The situation of barriers to career progression is compounded, we believe, when class bias in the academy intersects with racial, gender and neurotypical biases. To examine the obstacles, the perceived obstacles that we will be arguing with others absolutely objectively exist, and to consider how to negotiate them at a personal level, we launched Class Acts in June 2021 as an action learning set, initially for 5 women. Not all of us were known to one another. Everybody knew at least one other person, so it was built up by word of mouth. And even in that initial setup stage, we were very much aware about issues of trust, issues of speaking openly about our experiences. It's very difficult to talk about class in the UK. I believe it's a particularly UK phenomenon, although it does share, of course, features of class bias in other cultures around the world. Another way to approach the whole business of what we're trying to do would have been top-down, a kind of national perspective, and I think that is needed, and that work needs to be done and will need to be done on a national basis over the next years, hopefully as soon as possible. We are very excited to see the CUCD's EDI committee currently thinking about issues of class and class representation within classics in the UK, and we'll certainly be following that very, very closely. We also note how in the on the CUCD website, the influence of the WCC's own survey is acknowledged. When thinking about who we wanted to try to work with or who we hoped would support us, WCC was the far and away front runner because of the work that it's been doing so far, and we feel that we share values. We're very, very pleased to be accepted as a partner initiative. One of the pitfalls, we believe, of running a national kind of more open, discursive event, either a conference or a blog or whatever, is that it requires people to speak very openly to people they don't know necessarily about issues that are intensely personal and often intensely difficult. I watched aghast a couple of times at different events over the last couple of years when working class academics, for the first time in their careers, opened up about their experiences in a public forum and basically came unstuck. In two particular cases, I contacted the people afterwards and really spent the evening on and off with them online, just trying to get them through that experience that they just unexpectedly had. Their idea, and the idea on paper, was to pitch up in some kind of forum and to speak openly and honestly and in areas of trust. But what they found, of course, was that doing that is extraordinarily burning, or can be. To do this kind of work, we believe, properly, is going to demand massive sensitivity and will need to be handled extremely carefully. It's a form of peer mentoring. It's very simple: target setting and review. But what comes out of target setting and review in a small group that is building trust with one another is a whole range of different issues, a whole range of different memories, a whole range of different aspirations. What we're finding, even in our preliminary conversations, because that's all we were aiming for this year, is a surprising amount of passion, I guess, about the estrangements of being a working class person, or particularly a woman, in classics in the UK, about having to bridge two worlds always, and I'm sure other people have to do that in other ways. We're only speaking about our own experiences. We're not privileging those experiences over those of anyone else, but we're finding that we need to have our voice also. So the kinds of topics that do come out, and unpredictably, are reactions or memories about the estrangements, the ongoing compromises, frustrations, disappointments, and most of all, burnout. And these are, we're finding by talking to each other, as well as by reading the research, these sorts of experiences often do accompany the transition from council estates and comprehensive schools to the classical academy in the UK, and that includes for men as well as women. Just to raise 6 guiding questions or preliminary questions, we're asking why so many talented women from working class backgrounds, not just us, that sounds a bit self-congratulatory, we mean across academia, why so many talented women from working class backgrounds find themselves unable to complete their PhDs, in precarious employment, accruing debt, overlooked by appointment panels, moving to teaching track roles despite having live research projects, which they then are required, forced, encouraged, whatever, to give up, stuck on lower pay grades, and in some of the worst case scenarios, leaving the classics profession after years of hard work and commitment and that initial breaking into the profession, which I'm sure all of us know is not easy in the first place. Our reflections are being guided by current research, often from sociology and politics. I've put some of that research and its findings on the report. I don't feel I need to go through any of that here. I want to come back really in this short video to the matter of experiences, personal experiences. I'm finding it actually more difficult than I thought I would to speak in this video, and I'm aware that I'm staying off some of the more kind of red flag issues of equality, and I hope that I can speak with you in person on Friday about some more of those, especially in the context of the theme of activism. We are willing to share findings on a regular basis, but the sharing of the findings is only one part of the work. The main part of the work is living the experience of being working class women in the academy, week to week, sometimes day to day. We are not working in isolation. That's incredibly important to us because it can feel very isolating to be in this position. Making connections with other people, other organisations such as the WCC and broader movements is strengthening our purpose. It's also strengthening the clarity, hopefully, of what we're doing and the ways that we're starting to think, what we're aiming for. Just to give a couple of examples, in our aim of appreciating and celebrating our own culture, which is extremely important to us, we're inspired by, for example, Black Lives Matter and its commitment to joy. In that context, it's called Black Joy, and living fully as acts of resistance against discrimination. So even being here, even having these posts, whatever they are, even being invited to speak to WCC and enjoying the fellowship and solidarity with other women and other classicists, enjoying our teaching, enjoying the scholarship and research we do, these are themselves acts of resistance. We are here, and hopefully we can help to open the doors for more women coming in. Another important contact point is with the Working Class Academics Conference. A number of these organisations are very new and people are stumbling over the terminology and using each other's names and having to identify themselves a bit more clearly. But the Working Class Academics Conference was launched in 2020. It was one of the earliest reactions, and their motto is making the road by walking it. This is a really important part of what we're doing. We don't know what the road really is. We're making it up as we go along, and we don't really know what the road is or will be for working class women in UK classics. But we want to start, and finally we acknowledge the influence of the historical influence of the women's action groups of the miners' strike of the 1980s. When I was thinking about putting a small group together, those women groups of the miners' strike immediately came to mind. The issues of class are not just women's issues. The miners' strike was not just the issue of the women's groups, it was the issue of men and women. But through running particular feminist women's action groups, starting small with very practical local aims, those women's groups found a place and a voice which could contribute very importantly to the national conversation. Another factor is that we are inspired by the way that they claimed the right in a national conversation, even though they felt ill-equipped for it, to speak for ourselves and on our own behalf. So I hope that gives a kind of flavour of what we're trying to do, and I hope I'm going to be able to stop this video recording. Thanks very much. Bye.